Hi there, and welcome to the Curious Collective podcast, conversations designed for the conscious community to bring awareness to those holistic practices that are out there. So tap into the wisdom and knowledge of our guests to extract what you need to heal, transform, and live as your true soulful self. Now, I'm very, very happy to have with us today the beautiful Lisa Brough, who is doing a modality I actually haven't explored yet. So Lisa is what is called a holistic biomagnetist. So welcome, Lisa, to our podcast.
Thank you, Katie. I've been wanting to get into podcasts for a little while now. I have been listening to quite a few, and I'm just finding it just so amazing to be able to consume the new information that I need in my life. So yeah, I'd love to come along and explore and share a little bit about biomagnetism.
Awesome. So tell me, yes, what is this and what is it that makes your heart sing? I always ask our guests that, and yeah, it's nice to hear.
Yeah, I might go back to sort of how I discovered biomagnetism and what sort of drew me to look for a new solution for myself. So 3 children very close together, adrenal fatigue, low functioning thyroid. I'd spent a lot of time, a lot of months on programs such as NES Health and with a naturopath and correcting my iodine. And I'd got to the point where I was about 20% improved after 6 months. And it was a bit of a long, hard slog ahead of me. So I was still looking for other solutions. And I've been into energy medicine and energy healing a very long time. So it's been a hobby and it's been my career for probably 25 years now. And I'm part of a group called the Energy Medicine Exchange on Facebook. So there's some great discussions always going on there.
Oh, that would be.
Yeah. And a very big group too. And somebody popped up with a comment about biomagnetism being good for a particular problem. And intuitively, I must have just been, like a dog with a bone. I just couldn't let go of the idea of what is this biomagnetism? Never heard of it. What is this? So I found a website which explained it. And it explained that the biomagnetic pair phenomenon that exists in the body when there's a problem is actually 2 different points in the body where the biomagnetic field is altered. So you've got one area where you can think of it as a depression and another area where there's too much energy. And that comes through to the physical as a spot that has become too acidic, and it corresponds to another spot that is too alkaline. And because of the dual nature of so much in our environment and in our reality, is when you create acidity, you also create alkalinity. So these spots are very specific. It's not about general alkalization of the body, and it's not about general acidification of the body. These are very small spots. And it's a little bit like acupuncture in that you've got to do something very specific to correct it. The biomagnetic pair spots, or the poles, are literally 0.5 centimetre across. They're small. Yeah. And so you can detect them by placing magnets on the body, and there's this experience of muscular contraction on one side of the body that happens when you hit a spot that needs a magnetic field to correct it. And after leaving the magnets in the correct spots for 15 minutes, it varies a little bit depending on where you are on the earth, but it's around 15 minutes for Brisbane. Then you actually permanently neutralize that biomagnetic pair once. You just treat it once. And so one layer of imbalances is done in one session.
Yeah. And how do you know where it is in the body before you put those magnets on?
Well, the leg shortening phenomenon is how we test. It looks like kinesiology, but it's a little bit different. So when you place the negative pole of a magnet over a spot that's too alkaline, then it's like a repulsion of ions that happens through the cell membrane. So you get a movement of ions that excite the nerve. The nerve sends a signal to the brain. The left hemisphere of the brain actually processes this, and it causes a stress reaction and a muscular contraction on the right side of the body only.
Yep.
And because of where it's processed, then you've got one leg that changes, but the other one doesn't. And so you can imagine you push your heels together and you can see one leg has just gotten shorter or longer for acidity. So you've got shortening for alkalinity, and lengthening for acidity.
Wow, the human body's so
So
fascinating.
it is. So it looks a lot like kinesiology, but it's slightly different, and allows us to find where the individual has their imbalances, because anything can cause anything. It's not the same cause for the same symptom.
Yeah.
And you've just got to go in there with that neutral mindset and find the
allow
imbalance.
the body to be the messenger, because the body's actually telling you where it is, isn't it?
It's got intelligence, and it will actually, you will find the strongest imbalances first, just like any energy medicine type modality is. It operates under the lampshade effect. You're going to have a strong imbalance that hides weaker ones, and once you've done your first layer, you can now see the secondary layers, and after that you've got tertiary layers, etc. As you go through a number of sessions.
Clearing the layers. I talk about that all the time.
Yep.
and the more you clear the layers, the more you discover about yourself on all different levels.
That's it. Absolutely.
So how is it that you got into doing this? What made you really intrigued in it, and where was your journey to it?
Yeah, I really can't, I just couldn't let go of it intuitively, I would say. I was led. I'd never tried the modality because there wasn't any practitioners in Australia.
Yeah.
I had a chat to my girlfriend, and she's a natural therapist as well. She couldn't let go of the idea, and we just took the leap. We booked flights
Right.
We flew to America. We learnt it for ourselves, and both of us had our health conditions resolve in just 2 to 3 sessions after we came back. So we worked on each other, and we were finally free of something that we each had our own thing that we were working on, that we were struggling with, that it was taking a lot of time to resolve. And this just finished the healing process.
What an adventure.
Yeah.
So America, you went to study. It's not here in Australia yet?
No. The facilitator that we went with was, her name is Helena Guerrero, so Spanish American, and she had worked with Dr. Goiz for many years by bringing him to America and getting that translated there so that everyone can experience real-time translation during the course. And she's now gone on to teach herself. And she does want to come to Australia and teach all of us and hold some certified courses. But she does do them online if anyone else was interested. You can look her up. Her business name is Global Biomagnetism. But yeah, it's an amazing modality.
And what is it that you love about it so much? Like, why is it that you now make this your sole focus after 25 years in the healing space?
I would say that it's quite a complete and holistic treatment on its own. So we do a number of levels when we learn biomagnetism. The first level allows us to, treat any condition. But then we can do an advanced level, which looks into the energy and the code of the microbes in the body. And that means that sometimes your body won't operate correctly. Your immune system may selectively ignore a certain microbe if your subconscious decides that it's a beneficial microbe. Now, this might not make sense, but there is a link between the mind and the body.
Yeah.
And that is the emotional need for the microbe to modulate and help us cope with our emotional states. Microbes literally interact with our nerves in a way that it modulates our neurotransmitters. So if we don't have the need for the microbe, meaning we don't have emotional conflicts, that we don't have that stuff running in our unconscious, we don't have the program of sustained emotion, then our neurotransmitters are naturally balanced and our body doesn't do anything different to cope with it. One of the things it does is it selectively ignores one microbe that is temporarily helpful.
Oh, wow.
And I'll give you a little example, because this is one that we were talking about before. Candida. Candida is something that we all experience and may have a bit of a struggle with at times in our life. Candida comes up for us when we have distress around our changing form. This can be our identity as a person, And this comes in a lot as, you know, you think of a teenager, you're going from a child to a woman.
Yeah.
You think of the maiden going to a mother, so pregnancy. We look in the mirror every day and everything's changing. Our physical form is changing, and that can bring up stuff for us. We can have distress around that. If there's distress around our changing image, our subconscious decides that Candida helps us with that distress, and so it selectively allows it to flourish because it's helpful just for now.
Lisa,
And then
this
you have
makes
the
so
white
much
tongue, you
sense.
have the belly blow, you have the cravings,
Oh.
and you get into a loop with Candida.
And it's actually so fascinating that you're saying this, because two people that I know that have had the lat band surgery, they have then had issues with Candida post surgery with all the changes that have, oh man.
And you know, and if you look at it at a physical level, you can point to those medications they needed for their procedure as being the reason, but this is another reason.
Yeah, yeah. That deeper layer that we were talking about.
Yes, yeah.
And so does that also correlate to, say, someone's had a traumatic experience and they've stored emotion in the body in a particular area because of said traumatic experience, too fast, too much, too soon, and then that is also affecting that emotional holding in that area?
Yep, absolutely. I do have one case study that was quite it was quite remarkable in how direct a physical trauma actually created a new illness.
Yeah.
And we used biomagnetism to clear it in a single session.
Oh,
That was
wow.
a case of fibromyalgia being triggered by a car accident.
Mm-hmm.
And most people with fibromyalgia can point to traumatic events of some sort. People with shingles can point to some very stressful or traumatic events as well as kind of like a trigger. And which microbe may become the one that creates a problem, it's going to be individual. I mean, what is in the body already? What's going on for you emotionally from your own past? So it can get expressed in a range of different experiences. But yeah, fibromyalgia is an interesting one in that it's actually, we have found that it actually involves the malaria parasite.
Oh.
So, you know, it's a microscopic blood-borne, you know, parasitic infection. And most people don't think that they have any malaria, but sometimes there's a very small experience, a low-grade chronic infection that didn't have its full expression to start with because at the time the immune system was good and kept it under control. And then you have a new event, the immune system comes down, and now you can have an experience or a disease kicks off related to that microbe.
Oh, that's
So
fascinating.
there's often a malarial involvement.
Yeah, that fascinates me as well. I was in the military, and when we deployed to Timor and countries like that, we were on these anti-malaria medications, which were horrific, called Doxy. And I
Yeah,
feel like those medications in themselves have caused issues within people's, makeup, and much
yeah,
to what you're talking about right now. So fascinating, noted.
yeah, no doubt. Yep. And you know, the remedy for something can actually relate to the actual experience of things. I mean, I'm not a homeopath, but that is something that area really looks at. It's sometimes the remedy actually shows up the problem in the body. It can trigger it in a way that you can see something that is there, something needs to be balanced.
Absolutely. As I'm talking to you, my throat is just going crazy. So I'm like, oh, I need to just come get some magnets on my throat. There's some deep holding at the back there somewhere. It's just coming out as I'm talking to you. Very interesting.
Your body's speaking to you.
Yes, it is. And I think this is a huge thing that we could also touch on as you're exploring and talking about your work is our body is like our biggest messenger. And if we're not listening to it, then we're not even going to know, if someone comes to you for a session or explores your work more and they're not actually listening to their own body and they're just wanting the quick fix, it's not going to be as effective, is it?
No, it's literally one of the things that is a block. So one of the things I check at the start of a session is whether or not there's blocks to healing. And that, sometimes it's environmental, sometimes it's emotional, like someone's got an emotional pattern of, perhaps disconnecting from their body, or withholding their own sensations from themselves because it's not safe to feel what they feel.
Or suppression.
They can have a number of emotional patterns that block the healing. So, it's not there for everyone. It's going to be there just occasionally. We're all a different mix of experiences that come together to give us our symptoms. So it's one of the things that I can check.
Yeah, excellent.
One of the other interesting things with the biomagnetism and what we've found is about COVID, because we all know what's going on in the world right now. And if you're wondering what the emotional code or what the requirement is for COVID, why have so many people become sick with it? Or not so sick? Not everyone's having a bad experience with it. It's mild for a lot of people, I understand that. But COVID actually represents war and conflict.
Oh.
So, and as you can imagine, there's a covert war going on between China and everyone. We actually got an outward expression of war in Ukraine.
Yeah.
We've got if we have internal conflicts within ourselves, and it's about territory. War is all about territory. It can be a physical territory. This is my land, my country. It can be about your viewpoint. So if you have territory over something, it means your viewpoint is correct over somebody else's. So, whenever we have a fight with someone about whether or not we should do something natural for COVID or take something medical for COVID, that is a war over territory.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
That is why it is so intense. That's why, because we're all so susceptible to it as a community and as a world, as a country, all the different levels, we're all susceptible to it to a high degree. If we weren't, it wouldn't have taken much hold at all.
Yeah.
It would have been like monkeypox, which, wasn't anywhere near as extensive.
Yeah.
But because we, as a collective, we're all trying to find our territory within ourselves, trying to decide who we are and what we stand for. What side are we on? We're looking for that within ourselves as well as externally. And so we are susceptible. And until we are finished with that, there'll still be some COVID around.
Yes, that is so fascinating. Oh my goodness. Especially, it just keeps getting thrown at people left, right, and center in media, papers, everywhere. So when you switch off to all that and just come into self and find that inner peace within you, that's a way forward. Let's all do that.
Yeah.
I certainly have.
Yeah. Maybe the Zen monks were right that, everything comes from within, or creating peace within. There is no out there.
So this beautiful emotional code that you're talking about, and your example there with the COVID and the conflict, is this something that weaves into your work separate to the biomagnetism, or is it part of it?
It actually gets woven into the physical experience of having the magnets placed on the body to correct the biomagnetic pair. So that this bit looks very much like kinesiology, in that I'll ask the body, which microbe wants you to be sick? And I'll go through the categories. I'll find an exact one. It's going to be different for everyone. And this is the microbe that gets it. It's the one that actually gets the environment it wants in your body, and it gets to flourish. So it's going to manipulate your internal environment to suit itself. So there's going to be a key microbe that we're going to have that, that flourishes when we're down, when we're stressed, or when we're experiencing symptoms. And so I can ask which one that is, find its biomagnetic pair, and we do a verbal release.
Yeah.
And when you're in that beautiful calm state, the magnets are very parasympathetic, that within a few minutes, you just want to go to sleep.
Yeah.
You've got a few magnets on, and you're guided to this correct space where you can release very easily. Then we just pinpoint the exact emotion, when it was created. So there'll be a date, a time. If or not it came from an ancestral line, sometimes it's from the mother's line, the father's line. We find where it came from, we pinpoint it, and then we just verbalize it. I acknowledge I have been feeling frustrated, and you just repeat it. I feel frustrated, until the muscle testing shows us that you are now negative for that trapped emotion. So the process is quick and easy because you're already relaxed, we've already got some magnets going, and it really is quite a streamlined, relaxing and easy way to work on emotions.
I love that supportive sort of complementary therapy that goes with the work. So I know in the past I've done some work around ancestral clearing that I've needed to do, right? And I've found out specifics that resonated quite deeply with me. But then I was given this way, you know, go and run a water bath and say prayers to the water and stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is not like, I can't, you know, link to that. I would love to be able to do that, but that's not me. I'm like military Kate. I'm very masculine. So I can't sit and do the feminine yet. So to be able to do it in a way where I'm in a parasympathetic state and the magnets are assisting me, that would just be fantastic.
Yeah, it's almost passive in that the person guiding you on the session, the practitioner, does much of it for you. And to be honest, I prefer that way too. So, you know, when you go in for a kinesiology session or you go in for an acupuncture session, well, they're detecting things that need balancing and then they're balancing it for you. And there's not a lot of homework, you know.
Yeah. The homework's the hard part.
Very much like that.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I absolutely love the work that you're doing. So are you creating community around the work that you're doing? Do you do education? Like you've got obviously a wealth of knowledge inside you there. What's your vision with the work that you're doing moving forward?
My biggest vision, I would say, is to get biomagnetism in every suburb, in every city. So it's just as common as massage therapy, just as common as acupuncture, because this is such a great option that actually is not being met elsewhere. The biomagnetic pair doesn't get corrected by any other therapy. It's a different system. It's a different paradigm. And if one thing isn't working well enough, you may need to add another therapy in and to get it out in the community and get it known. I guess that's my big vision. Because as soon as I started, you know, I speak to people, they contact me through my website and they ask, is there someone near me in, you know, Eastern Sydney? And I look up my list and it's like, yeah, there's someone, but they're an hour and a half from you. And they can't get there and it's not practical. And I do quite well with coaching and teaching. There's part of me that has always enjoyed that.
I felt that about you when I first met you. I'm like, she'd be an amazing teacher.
Yes, yeah. And that comes down to my soul type, which is another area altogether. But my soul type is called divine order, which means that I like things that are methodical. I like everything to flow. I think everything to be complete. So that I love helping people get their knowledge on board and to fill in the gaps in their knowledge. And I do support new practitioners that come through with some mentoring in a group style environment.
Yeah, beautiful.
But what I do have is a really cool new group session called Magnetic Sound Session.
Ooh, tell us more.
This is a way to experience the magnets and what it feels like to have some of the biomagnetic pairs on the body and how it can help us. One of my very best girlfriends is an excellent sound healer. She's beautifully intuitive, and she's got the most beautiful touch with the sound healing. That's what you need. Is you need to read the room really well, don't you? And you need
hold
to
that
get
beautiful sacred space.
Yeah, and you need to get just the right frequencies for what everyone needs on the day and respond to how they're responding. And she does a beautiful job with the sound. The beautiful crystal bowls, the chakra set in particular is the one that she likes to use. So I'm teaming up with her, and that we have around 10 to 12 places every time. And we've got our yoga mats, we've got couches, we've got carpet, you know, we just sort of flop all over the room, we get comfy. I've got a beautiful healing studio on the water. So I've got a waterfront property at Woody Point. So we open the doors and we can hear the waves gently lapping at the rock below.
Oh, so sign me up.
So the sound session allows us to all really enjoy this environment and have a sound session that is also a biomagnetism session And it's very low cost too if you want to try something without spending a bunch of money.
What a beautiful combination. I know I absolutely love sound healing of all sorts. So to combine that with the work you've just been speaking into before, what a beautiful, synergistic combo.
It is, and such a joy. Some healing modalities, for example, deep tissue massage are terribly painful. We really love the pain, but we hate it as well. And but what if you can achieve healing without, and it's all bliss? What if it could all be beautiful and relaxing and joyful? So it is one of those really joyful experiences, and people
it
can
feels
come away
like deep nurturing, like that beautiful yin that we so often avoid.
Yep, you've nailed it. And even if you've tried sound healing before and it's triggered you or created some stress in the body, which it can occasionally do, some people, their nervous system is so finely receptive to the sound that it can be a little bit much. And it can be a little uncomfortable. But those people that come to a magnetic sound session find it completely comfortable because of the effect of the magnets calming them so much that they can now receive the full benefits of the sound session.
Yeah, how fantastic. And all the details of that will be definitely in any of the text of wherever this podcast is posted. So if it sounds like something you'd be interested in, please do look into that.
One other thing that I'm running is every second month, I've got a little workshop. So it's 4.5 hours, or 3.5 hours, sorry, on a weekend. And it's Biomagnetism Basics, it's called. So you can come along by yourself or with a friend, doesn't matter, and actually learn about the leg shortening response, play with the magnets, and learn some of the first aid points. So we've got first aid points for detoxification, headaches, asthma, central nervous system calming, balancing the sympathetic nervous system. Sometimes you don't have enough get up and go. So we've got points for all the common things. And you can learn some of the basics in a quick little workshop.
And then like have your own, then do people sort of have a couple of their own magnets and like a first aid kit that they can support themselves with at home?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, cool.
And I used a lot of those first aid points as a new practitioner many years ago when my children were really young.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't lay still for the entire process of the proper scan. But, if your kid's got a cough and they tend to get asthma or croup when a virus comes in the body, then we've got these asthma pairs. It literally is one magnet on the back and one magnet on the front, just getting that position right. Wait 10 minutes and the cough, the wheeze, it dramatically reduces. So, and then we've got the headache point. So the temples, we place a magnet on each temple and you just get the polarity right. And about 50% of the time that will work.
Yeah.
If there's other elements as well, you might need a second pair on the neck or a second pair to do with the virus that's actually caused it.
Sort of feeling into the cause or root of whatever's manifested as that headache, hey?
Yeah. So there's some that are very, very reliable and that they'll always help, and others that are worth a try. It's a bit like if you're starting to come down with a cold and you think, I'll get into my vitamin C and zinc.
Yeah.
Sometimes that does something, other times it doesn't. It can be a bit of a guessing game. You don't know if you're deficient in those things. You're just kind of popping them in there just to help the body in case you need them.
Yeah, that's what I do. If I start to get a sniffle, I'm like, Healy, oils, homeopathics, like throw it all on me. Something's going to work.
So the first aid pairs can very much be another layer you can layer with your oils.
See, the virus or flu wouldn't stand a chance.
Yeah, imagine doing 3 together.
I love that we've got these natural solutions, and I love that you're teaching people these basics as well. I think that's fantastic to be able to arm ourselves with as many tools as we can.
Yep. And to be able to save yourself a trip to the doctor, because we know what that's like at the moment. It's stressful. You do have to push to get an appointment. You have to wait 6 days for it. There's a lot of difficulty around that at the moment. So whatever we can do to help ourselves while we're waiting for that doctor appointment maybe we won't even need it. Maybe we can sort of support ourselves enough at home that we
Empowered
can
health.
avoid that. Yeah.
I love the work that you're doing. Thank you for sharing all that you have.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And is there any other, so you do, people that aren't face-to-face here in the Southeast Queensland region or willing to travel, you do online work as well?
Yeah. So like many other modalities, biomagnetism can be done at a distance.
Yeah.
And around 50% of my clientele at the moment are distance sessions.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I do love seeing people in person, that, that there's something extra sweet about connecting in person and getting that hug before or after.
Absolutely. It's medicine in itself.
Yeah, but if it's impractical, if you're worried about being contagious, then we can absolutely do distance sessions. We just do a little video chat first, run through what you're experiencing, and then we switch off. You rest on the couch, you listen to some meditation music, you just get an hour of rest while I do some surrogate work. So surrogate work is kind of funny. I test myself while focusing on the client, and end up with magnets all over myself. I take a few pictures to show the client as well, and there's a little report about what was found and corrected afterwards. So absolutely, we've found a practical way to do it at a distance. So if anyone needs that support,
The
they can
surrogate
reach
stuff
out to me.
blows my mind. Like the me 6 years ago would have thought, what? But the me now is like, yes, like 100%. This stuff is amazing.
Yep. I was lucky that the first modality I learned was actually Reiki. So back in 1999, and very quickly within the first few months, I was going on to learn the more advanced levels where you actually learn to do distance healing. So I have known and accepted and experienced the power of distance healing for a very long time.
Yeah.
But we can absolutely do the same thing with the magnets.
Yeah, wow, that fascinates me. It would be great if you're doing distance for someone and you're doing the surrogate work, but they also have their own set of magnets so that they could put some on them wherever they are.
Yep, absolutely. So I do have some clients, especially the mums, and having a set of, say, 6 magnets at home and being somewhat familiar because they've had some sessions, I can send pictures of where they might need to put the magnets when something comes up. If the whole family's got worms, or if there's something new's popped up, it's like, well, I can quickly direct them to or remind them of the correct points that'll be supportive at home.
So you have given us so much beautiful information in this session. If you had any wisdom or knowledge additional that you wanted to pass on to the listeners around your biomagnetism and the work that you're doing, what would that be?
That would be, well, it's probably what I have learnt from my journey with biomagnetism is there's always a solution.
Don't give up.
Even if you think you've tried everything, you have not tried everything.
Yes, I love that.
And however the information comes through to us, so we've just got to learn to recognize it when it's being presented, because the solutions are all around us. We just haven't tuned in or acknowledged what we're seeing in front of our own eyes or what we're experiencing with our own sensations. So like you said before about your body speaking to you through symptomology, if we get good at really sensing that and then acting, the body doesn't feel hurt unless you do something about it. It's one thing to notice something, but the body will stop communicating the experience to you or really damp it right down if you act upon it. That's part of communication, is to be heard, and your body doesn't feel heard until you do something. And it can be something very, very simple that really turns everything around.
Oh, I love that.
Doing 5 sessions of magnets, it doesn't have to be a full herbal protocol. It can just mean a step in that direction. Can really bring your symptoms down so your body stops screaming to you with such intensity.
So many people's bodies are screaming, Lisa. I just go through the shops now and I just observe. I'm a people watcher. It's one of my favorite things to do. And I'm like, oh, screaming.
Yep. Yes.
So yeah, but let's listen to our bodies more. Let's get curious. And thank you so much, Lisa, for your time, your wisdom, and your knowledge.
You're welcome. Thanks heaps, Katie. It's really great to get to know you a little better and your audience too. And I look forward to communicating a little bit more in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you.